the set to go as efficiently as possible, all right? You want your crew to get the pole up, and you want to get the chute up, and you want to get it to fill literally in seconds from going around that weather mark. If it takes you 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds to get it, you're going to lose to other people who are able to pop, get it to fill, and to go. First comment about that is that if you can get the pole up in advance, fine. But if you're not able to get the pole up in advance, you do want to set the chute first and get it to fill, and then put the pole on second as you go around the mark. It's more important, therefore, to get it to fill and to start pulling you down that downwind leg than it is to spend a lot of time getting the pole up if you happen to have already rounded the mark. So you need to practice that if you don't know how to do it. Spinnaker on the port side, pole on the starboard side. Have your crew grab the pole when it's time, and have the body of the crew outboard of the pole, all right? This is wrong. This is right, okay? Number two, have the back end of the pole down, all right? This is safe. This is dangerous to the skipper and the crew in the back of the boat, particularly if the crew takes the pole like this and just kind of cleans out back here, all right? Very dangerous. Teach your crew to keep the back end of the pole on the bottom of the boat, all right? It's safer, plus you're just dealing with holding on to one little part of the pole. You're not trying to control this thing in a way that is impossible. So your hand is right on the pole, right at the end that's going to do the work, not back in the middle somewhere. And your other hand goes to the guy and puts it in there. All right? Bing, bing. Now this part is done. Now, you don't want to be fishing for it way out here. You want to get your hands close to your body where you can control this. And I'm sort of blocking it, but just want to put it right in there. Okay? Keep it under control. Put it right in. That's step number one. Step number two is to come to the balance point of the pole and grab it with one hand. All right? You don't want to have two hands on the pole because your other hand has to grab the topping. Grab the topping lift, make sure it's not wound around the spinnaker halyard, the jib halyard, the main halyard itself. Take a half a second to make sure it's clear. Raise. And again, my hands are right close together, all right? I'm not dealing with the hands far apart, and I'm not trying to hold this thing. And it doesn't matter the angle that this goes to, you just got it in the balance point. Hook it together, okay? And I take my hands off it to demonstrate to you that you don't have to continue to hold the weight of the pole anymore. Let it hang, because step number three is to get it out in front of the boat. The crew has obviously had to give you some slack back here, to get it out in front and get it on. Okay? Quick review. And this, this is often, the skipper often forgets to release this, so this is the one time the crew can really yell at him. Slap the green, goddammit! Here's number one, balance point. Check it. Number two, number three, right forward. If you're short enough, you can come up on here. Probably don't need to come up here. This is probably good enough. If you're tall enough, you can get it right today. 1, 2, 3. 13. Okay, now the crew's got to push forward on the pole. All right, it always happens. Push forward on the pole to get the clue to the pole. That's got to be part of it. That's automatic. You hoist one time, shove it forward, and you'll be able to get the clue right to the pole. All right, try to keep her full. Trim the red, tweak the green, trim the red. There you go. All right, now let's go through the steps of the jibe. When you're going to be jibing, the first thing is to square the boat and to bring the pole aft. We haven't started the jibe yet. We've just squared the boat off the wind and brought the pole aft. Then the jibe happens with the boat heading almost straight downwind. You get hooked up, and then you bring the boat up on the other side. So you divide and separate the entire process into the parts. It gets easier and easier as you do this. Now, as the boat is squared and he bears off, say at the jibe mark, okay, now line handlers, square him off. The pole will come back and the sheet will ease. Green back, don't collapse it, but I mean, as they let you out, keep it filled, tighter red. There you go. As it comes off, the green can slowly come back, keeping the sail full, hopefully. Pull back now. There you go. Keep it full. There's about 8 or 9 or 10 steps, all right? And between you and your crew, you work out which you like to do first, second, or third. I kind of like this process here. Guy hook out. Now the skipper has to trim in as I let this out, right? Otherwise the pole will go way forward. Guy hook out, guy hook in. I kind of like to do this first. Then pole off, and I just let it come through, and I release it. It's behind the jib. It's ready to go. All right, let me turn now. Take in on this line here. All right, this is just hanging there. Then I help the skipper jibe the main. He trims in on green so that the chute stays full all the way through. Just practice flying it without the pole. Because it can be done, all right? And the skipper needs to know how to do this, because there's times when this isn't going to get hooked up right away. But I'm already under the guy hook. I'm ready to go. I can take maybe a half a second and get the jib out of my way, and then I can go over here. Now watch my hands. I'm right together at where I need to be. I'm not trying to do something like this, right? Bring your hands right together. Get this in.
Whoa, come on.
Put my shoulder against the mast. Shove this out and forward. Not across and out, because the chute is forward. But shove it forward. Get it in. In fact, let's add one other factor to this. Heavy air. So don't jibe me quite yet. In heavy air, what I recommend is you jibe the main first before you mess with the pole. In other words, you've got all your weight on the high side. You're having a hike. Maybe your weight is way aft. Keep the bow out of the water in heavy air. You come to the jibe mark, you turn and you jibe, and you put the spinnaker behind the main. Much safer that way. Then the crew stays on the weather side and goes after the pole from the weather side. So here's a slight variation of this. All right, now we're bearing off. Bear off the jibe. We're going to do this. I'm going to get this one in. We're going to come and go through the jibe. Here comes the jibe. Watch your head. Spinnaker is safely behind. Safely flat. Main. Now I'm going to come up and go after the pole, just like this. Notice how I have grabbed the wire and the pin, and it's open, okay? I come down, this goes right in, and I release my hand. It's still attached on the other side, that doesn't matter. As I pull it across, I pop it out of the other side and put it in. All right, I'm always on the weather side, and again, I can brace myself here, and if it's blowing hard, this is hard to do. You know, get it out and get it in.